I received a request in the comment section under one of my videos. One of the viewers wanted to know about a compound called methylene blue. Now, to be honest with you, I hesitate to make this video because if you go to on YouTube, there are literally dozens of videos about methylene blue. And I'm not sure I could really add to that, but I will try to tell you a couple of interesting things about methylene blue. That it's kind of considered a nootropic by some people, meaning that some people think it increases brain function. Methylene blue was actually the first chemical drug, the first synthesized drug ever used in medicine. It was synthesized in 1876 by a German chemist named Heinrich Caro. He was the research director at a chemical firm called BASF. Now, methylene blue is a synthetic dye, and another use for it, it's often used in aquariums, like fish tanks. They use it to clear out bacteria and potential pathogenic organisms that can hurt the fish because it basically destroys these organisms. It gives you a hint at some of the things it can do in medicine. So it's used as a medical stain. It can stain cells. It has a typically blue color. That's why it's called methylene blue. And one of the actual medical indications for methylene blue is to treat a condition called methemoglobinemia, which involves a dysfunction in iron metabolism and red blood cells. Well, I'm not going to go into all the nuances of what happens other than to say that when you have methemoglobinemia, your red blood cells can't deliver oxygen to cells properly. So it's a very serious disease. It can be caused by various drugs, including eating certain type of beans. They get a type of hemolytic anemia and methemoglobinemia. Now, what happens when you take methylene blue? If you have methemoglobinemia, if it's diagnosed, they'll give you methylene blue in an injection form. And what methylene blue does is it hastens the exit of methylhemoglobin out of the body. In other words, it clears out the toxic substance that allows your blood to get normal again. Now, when this guy Heinrich Caro synthesized methylene blue, he synthesized it as a cotton dye back in 1876. It wasn't until 1880 that a microbiologist named Koch, he used methylene blue as a medical stain, again, to stain cells so they could be easily viewed through a microscope. Then there was a famous scientist in 1885, 5 years later, Paul Ehrlich, who was famous for his magic bullet theory. He discovered a substance called salvarsan, which was the first treatment for syphilis. And anyway, Paul Ehrlich, he was a German physician. He won the Nobel Prize for that discovery. He used methylene blue to stain tuberculosis bacillus so that they could be seen through a microscope. And then in 1891, he conducted research using methylene blue directly as a treatment for malaria. In other words, methylene blue was actually one of the first prescription medicines for malaria. It's also used to treat carbon monoxide and cyanide poisoning. It can help certain types of brain damage, it decreases oxidative damage produced by excess amount of oxygen byproducts called free radicals or reactive oxygen species, and it's also been used in neuropsychiatric disorders. It affects brain neurotransmitters. It's sometimes used to treat bipolar depression and psychotic disorders. In rodent and some human studies show it seems to enhance memory, and that's why it's used as a nootropic. However, it should be pointed out that methylene blue, even though it's a synthetic substance, but as far as the memory stuff goes, it seems to, in some studies, not all, in some studies it seems to enhance memory when used at low dosages. But when you start to go to higher dosages, you get reverse effects where you get increased brain fog and it screws up your brain. Now, the reason I mention that is I viewed some of these other videos on methylene blue, and the dosages they're recommending is very dangerous. This stuff is not completely benign. If you take too much, it can have a reverse effect. This is known in science as hormesis, meaning a small amount of a substance could be beneficial, but if you go past a certain point, that same substance becomes toxic, and methylene blue falls into that category. One of the really useful uses of methylene blue is it helps to stabilize mitochondria. Mitochondria are the portion or the organelles in cells where ATP is produced, where fat is burned in a process called beta oxidation. And unfortunately, in the process of producing ATP, there's a lot of oxygen byproducts that produce. In fact, more of these free radicals are produced from the metabolism of mitochondria than any other part of the body. And now the mitochondria does have some built-in antioxidants, including coenzyme Q10 and a couple of others that help to neutralize these free radicals, but very often it could be overwhelming. So supposedly taking methylene blue can help to stabilize the mitochondrial function and preserve mitochondria, which is very important because the loss of mitochondria is considered a major cause of some of the more obvious effects of aging, including muscle loss, brain degeneration, and other aspects. When you lose mitochondria in muscles, it can lead to a condition called sarcopenia, which is an age-associated loss of muscle. Now, methylene blue is a synthetic substance. One of the more interesting side effects, I guess you could call it a benign side effect. And by the way, the medical drug name for the injected form of methylene blue used to treat methemoglobinemia is called Provade blue, and that's always given in an injection form. Now, as I said, one of the interesting side effects of methylene blue is it's when you urinate, if you've taken a pretty good amount, your urine will come out blue, and you'll actually have blue piss. A lot of people who aren't aware of this are a little bit alarmed when they see this, but it's basically a harmless effect. When methylene blue is oxidized, it's turned into another substance that is colorless, but it still retains its functions. Now, there's other side effects associated with methylene blue, including if you have it injected, as with any other injection, you could have pain or redness or swelling at the injection site, diarrhea, upset stomach, headache, chest pain, confusion, dizziness, and increased swelling. So one of some of the other side effects: agitation, blue-colored lips, fingernails or palms that could literally turn you blue, as can silver. There's some people use silver in a solution to treat to slowly build up the immune system. That can also make you turn blue. You could join the Blue Man Group and play music in Vegas. It can also cause chest tightness, confusion. Again, dark urine, usually of a blue tinge, difficulty breathing, difficulty swallowing, dizziness or lightheadedness. This is a reason why you have to be careful, as I've said repeatedly in my past videos. Be very careful of the advice that you see given in a lot of these videos, and this also pertains to methylene blue. I've seen a lot of dangerous advice given in these by so-called doctors about methylene blue, where they're recommending doses that are way too much. This stuff is not benign when it's used in large doses. If you give it to somebody who already has, let's say, kidney problems, it can worsen the kidney problems because it reduces renal blood flow. It reduces the blood flow within the kidney. Also, it could be dangerous if you take it with anything that increases serotonin. Serotonin is a brain neurotransmitter, but large amounts of serotonin, serotonin is produced in the brain, but it's also produced in the gut. And if you get too much serotonin production, it can cause a possibly deadly disease or syndrome called the serotonin syndrome. And when you take methylene blue with substances that increase serotonin, such as tryptophan, the amino acid tryptophan, or you take certain antidepressants, which also increase serotonin, you can slip into the serotonin syndrome, which is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Another interesting thing to keep in mind about methylene blue is that it inhibits nitric oxide. Now, a lot of bodybuilders and athletes take supplements based on arginine and other substances to increase nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a type of a gas. It's produced by 3 different enzymes in the body, nitric oxide synthase enzymes. In the blood vessels, it's nitric oxide is this enzyme exists in the endothelium, or the lining of blood vessels. As soon as arginine circulating in the blood, or arginine circulating in the blood encounters the nitric oxide synthesizing enzyme, the arginine is converted into nitric oxide. However, methylene blue interferes with the synthesis of nitric oxide, which is good for conditions in which there's excess nitric oxide, such as when you have, let's say, something that causes low blood pressure, shock. But in other conditions, when you're trying to increase nitric oxide, such as by taking nitric oxide supplements or taking nitrate in vegetables such as beets, taking methylene blue can interfere with the production of nitric oxide. So that's something to keep in mind. What else can I say? I think that's about really the most important thing. Methylene blue has been used to, it's this because of the staining effect. It helps doctors find gastrointestinal cancers. It can detect overactive parathyroid glands and cancer inside of lymph nodes. Supposedly it can increase cognitive or brain function by increasing the efficiency of brain cell activity. It enhances oxygen use in the brain. And again, this comes from small doses. What do I mean by small doses? By small doses, I'm talking about less, something like 5 to maybe a maximum of 15 milligrams a day. No more than that. I've seen videos where people are recommending 15, even 50 milligrams a day of methylene blue. I don't recommend that. That could be potentially dangerous. A very stupid recommendation. I don't know what they base this on. I've seen a couple of toxicity studies. If you're going to take methylene blue orally, like I say in a hospital, when you have methemoglobinuria, it's injected into you, it's much more controlled. When you take an oral version of it, well, then, it depends on the dosage. You take a dosage larger than 15 milligrams, now you're in a dangerous territory where it can cause problems. So I think that's about it for supposedly. Oh, by the way, methylene blue, if you take these smaller dosages, one effect, as I said, it helps increase brain function to a certain degree, although the effect on the brain is greatly exaggerated in many of these videos. So they portray it as a miraculous brain stimulation substance. It is not. It is not. It doesn't do any of that. One of the claims made for methylene blue as far as brain function goes is that it helps clear up brain fog, where you have this confusion, the inability to focus and concentrate. Well, the interesting thing is that only works with small dosages of methylene blue. If you take dosages of over 15 milligrams, it actually has a reverse effect, and it increases brain fog, increases confusion, and it blunts your ability to concentrate. So if there's one lesson to be taken from this particular video, it's be very careful to what you believe when you listen to some of these other videos, not just on methylene blue, but on many of these other YouTube videos pertaining to nutrition, health, and exercise. A lot of them are, in a word, bullshit. They're just not based on anything. These people are just full of crap. A lot of people have ulterior motives. They're selling supplements. Some of these people sell methylene blue, so they want you to take more, so you'll buy more. There's an obvious ulterior motive there. So you got to be real careful. I mean, I'm not involved in methylene blue sales. I have tried methylene blue. To be honest with you, I've tried it. I haven't noticed anything. Didn't really notice any improvement in brain function. I don't know whether it did anything or not. It might have, but if it had any effect, it didn't. It's something I did notice, but to be honest with you, I take so many things that affect brain function that it would be hard for me to tell whether methylene blue did anything for me, because these other things also affect brain neurotransmitters, brain function, focus and concentrate. I couldn't tell whether methylene did anything. The only way I would be able to tell, which I haven't done, is to take methylene blue on its own and not take any of that other stuff, which I've never done. Now, the particular form of methylene blue that I used it also had vitamin C added to it. Now, what the vitamin C does is it kind of it more or less oxidizes the methylene blue, and it turns it into a compound that basically removes the blue color but retains all the functions of methylene blue. So when you take this particular supplement, your urine doesn't come out blue. Instead, it comes out green. Kind of a nice, pretty fluorescent green. But like I say, the effect is harmless. It's kind of what happens when you drink a lot of beetroot juice. You'll also pee red, and that's because of certain pigments that are found naturally in beets. It's completely harmless, but it's scary to look at because you don't know whether that's blood or beet juice pigments. But anyway, so I think that's about it, what I could say about methylene blue. I wouldn't list it in my top 10 list of brain supplements. I think there's a lot more efficient compounds available. I think it's very useful for certain medical indications like methemoglobinuria. It definitely is useful for that. It can save people's lives in that respect. Might have some use in treating age-related brain degeneration, such as Alzheimer's diseases, because it reduces oxidative damage in the brain and because of its stabilization of mitochondria. But I don't think there's enough studies in humans that would currently allow me to state that as a fact. There is animal studies showing that effect, but I don't think there's enough evidence in human studies to show that methylene blue will help preserve your brain as you age. It may and may not. I don't know. I don't think anyone has proven that yet. So I'll leave it at that. If you want more information on nutrition, exercise science, anti-aging research, supplement science, including which supplements work, which ones don't, ergogenic aids, hormone therapy, effective fat loss techniques, women's health and fitness, all of these topics are covered in my Applied Metabolics at www.appliedmetabolics.com, the most comprehensive digital publication available on the entire internet. There's nothing that can come close, and there's no other digital publication that can match my over 60 years of study and actual experience. So I've been writing, a professional writer for over 50 years. It's very, very easy to understand. You don't have to have a medical dictionary to read it like you do with some of these other digital science publications. And I included interesting little anecdotes about my days training at the original Gold's Gym with people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and other famous bodybuilding champions of the 60s and 70s. So that also can't be included in these other digital publications because they weren't there. I was, they weren't. Anyway, so subscribe today. Again, www.appliedmetabolics.com. When you subscribe, send me an email and I'll send you a invitation to join my private Applied Metabolic Facebook page, where each day I post new information on nutrition, exercise, and general health and medicine. I also have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics webpage where current subscribers only could send me short questions about anything they might have read in Applied Metabolics or anything pertaining to nutrition and exercise, and I will answer their question as an appreciation for their subscription. You can look at it as a kind of a bonus for subscribing. Again, this only applies to current subscribers. Also, if you think my videos here are of use, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. It's completely free. I post a new video every Tuesday. Please let others know about the channel. This is one of the few no BS YouTube channels available. With each passing month, I see more and more of these YouTube channels or videos become increasingly commercialized, where it's basically a kind of disguised infomercial for certain products. I will only give you evidence-based truth. I'm not pushing any particular products. I mention products, but I only discuss them in the context of scientific evidence, and that includes both my videos and my Applied Metabolics publication. So I think that's about all I can say here. And again, I'm going to say it again. I've said this in about the last 10 videos. Please don't be suckered into buying some of these crap supplements pushed in other videos, especially greens powder. Oh God, that to me is the most egregious supplement in the world because it's garbage. It's grossly overpriced, and the people, the so-called what do they call them, influencers. Some of these people have 1 million people or more following them. They're paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to push these useless products, and in doing so, they completely sacrifice their integrity. Something I will never do. So it's a word of caution. No matter what you hear, no matter how many degrees these people have, do not listen to them when it comes to greens powder. It's a complete and utter waste of money. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter, adopt a dog. Thank you for listening.